All right, hello everyone. Lab 6. Let's jump right into it here. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm in my VM here in iLearn, and this labs 6, 7, and 8 are part of the same lesson, lesson 6. Okay, so week 6, lab 6, and I've got the videos up here. So these first two videos talk about adding constraints to a table where constraints don't exist already, and shows you how to do that, and namely foreign key constraints, primary key constraints. All right, this fourth video here, how to start writing lab 6. Brother McLaughlin does step 1 for you in the lab. Here, it will look like in the lab that he's putting all of his validation code at the bottom of his script file. But don't do that. You put the validation code in line with the step that it's validating. Okay, so step 1A, you have your code, and then you have your step 1A validation, and you put in the validation code. Okay, and then this 3 updates video. The third update in that video, he shows you exactly how to do the updates to the common lookup table in step 4 using a case statement. Okay, so look at that carefully, use that code. It gives you the code for how to move the values in the common lookup table. We'll talk some more about that and what we are accomplishing by doing that. Okay. This video is part 1 tonight of my instruction, and I'm going to take you through steps 1 through 3. And before, and then I'll do a part 2 video for step 4. Okay. Before I do that, I want to talk about something that he brings up in one of these videos, and that's this dual table and select from dual. Okay, so this dual table is a pseudo table. It's not a real table, it's a fake table, but it's a way to put literal values into your output. Okay, so it's an alternative for putting in comments. Okay, and you can stick with the -- comments, that's fine, or you can use this select from dual to create your comments, and that's fine. We'll use this select from dual later to fabricate data, to create data that we will store into tables. We'll see how to do that later. But let's just look at this select from, what does it do, okay? Select from dual. So we select, and then we type in some literal value, step 1, and then we can say, and we can give it an alias as code, and that gives it a column alias, okay, and then we say from dual semicolon, and see what it does here. It just prints what we typed in. That's all it does. And why is it called dual? It has a little history to it, but it's just a fake table because Oracle only understands tables. So the Oracle implementers defined this pseudo table just called dual that really doesn't have, it's really not a table, but we can put literal values into our code this way. Okay, so you see it just put in what I typed, step 1, and then since I gave it a column alias code, it labeled that as code, code step 1. Okay, so so Brother McLaughlin suggests doing this to comment your code as an alternative to using the dash comments. Either way works though. Okay, so that's the select from dual, and we'll cross paths with that pseudo table again. All that does is print out literal values that we type in into our report, into our output. Okay, let's go back now to the lab instructions, and I'm not going to do the lab for you here, but I'm going to walk you through some very important points in the instructions. Okay, so again, Brother McLaughlin, he will do step 1 in that how to start lab 6 video, and let's just go through the instructions for 1 through 3. Okay, so in your lab 6 script, you start off by calling your lab 5 script. Okay, and your lab 5 script does what? It calls the create Oracle store and the seed Oracle store. And what do those tables do? Or those scripts do? They call cleanup, and so it cascades, right? And so so now your lab 6 script starts off calling lab 5. Lab 7 will start off calling lab 6. Okay. All right. Add 2 columns to the rental table. Okay. And he tells you data type is number, and not null constraints, do that, and follow the instructions here. And how do you do that? You do that by doing an alter table. Okay, and then so here are the specifications for those 2 columns that you are adding, and then here's your verification query and your let me stabilize it here. Come on. My window doesn't want to scroll properly here. Your verification results. Sorry about that. Okay. And so when you run your validation query, you will see this print out in your log file, and you will know that you've done it correctly. Okay. Okay. Then step 2, create the price table. You've done create tables before. The important point here is make sure that you put in the PL/SQL drop table code right before your create table command for the price table. Okay, we always do that. Whenever we create a table, we always put in that PL/SQL drop table code. So make sure that you put that in. And you can see that in the Create Oracle Store, and we did that in our previous labs also. Don't forget that. Make sure that's in there. Okay. One additional thing interesting here is this constraint here, this active flag. You're going to have a column called active flag, and you're going to put a check constraint on it. All right, so just look up the syntax for how to do that, and in your create table statement, there at the bottom, you will put a check, create this check constraint. Okay, so don't forget to do that. You then have your validation query for creating the table, and you should see this print out, and then you have another validation query for that check constraint, and you should see this as your result. And you've properly defined the check constraint in there. Okay? All right. Step 3. Rename the item release date column of the item table to release date. Easy enough, right? So it's an alter table, and just look up, you know, the syntax for how to do that and rename that column. Then you have your validation query and your validation result, and this is what you should see. And then here, column ID 7, right, is now release date instead of item release date. Easy enough. Okay, now 3B. Insert, so pay close attention here and do this right, or in lab 7 you'll have problems in lab 8, okay? Things won't come out right, and it usually is because people didn't pay close attention to the instructions on inserting these 3 new DVD releases. Okay? The release date column's value for no rows in the item table should be less than 31 days at all times. And so the way we're going to do that is when you do the insert, and for the value in the release date, for the release date column, make it trunk sysdate -1. Okay, so then every time you run your script, then the date will change, and that's good. That's what we want. So the date stays current. It's 1 day prior to today's date. Okay. Now this trunk, you can look that up and trunk sysdate. And from here on, I mean, you can use sysdate, but really from here on, and now that you know about the trunk function, just use trunk sysdate. What does that do? Well, sysdate has 6 parts to it. Okay, sysdate has the year, the month, the day, hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay, so sysdate has all of those values in it. Trunk sysdate just takes the first 3, year, month, and day. And that's all we're interested in most of the time, okay? So, so you can use trunk sysdate instead of sysdate. And then we've always got year, right? We've got year, month, day. And then when we're doing comparisons, right, we're comparing year, month, day, and we're not worried about if some hours and minutes and seconds differences might be there, okay? So that's trunk sysdate. Okay, so the value for all release date column values in the item table, make it trunk sysdate -1. And then the value for all rentals in the checkout date, when you create a rental and you put a insert and you're putting a value in the checkout date, put then trunk sysdate, which is today's date, right? So the rental will be today's date, and these new releases, they will always show up as being released yesterday, okay? And then a null value in the return date. of the rental table. Okay. So these inserts, here are the three DVD titles: Tron, Ender's Game, and Elysium. So you insert those, and then this is your validation query, okay, and your validation results. And your dates will be different. All right. Okay, I will be right down, okay? Okay, I'll be right down. Okay. Okay. Back from family prayers with the grandkids. And let's see if this is still working here. So let's go to my desktop, share the screen. Looks like the video froze. I hope the rest of this worked. Okay. Step 3C, insert a new row in the member table and 3 new rows in the contact address, street address, and telephone tables. Okay, so it's important you follow the instructions very carefully here, okay? So the new contacts will be Harry, Ginny, and Lily Luna Potter. And we're going to insert them like we did in step 11 in lab 4, okay, using the next val and curval functions. So you need to do these inserts in the right sequence so that curval has the right value in it as you do the next step, okay? And Brother McLaughlin shows the exact steps here for excuse me, for doing the inserts. All right. So you can look in the Seed Oracle Store script, and it shows you the same way to do it as we did in lab 4, step 11. Okay, as he describes here. Okay, using next val and curval. Okay, so first insert a new member row for the Potter family. So member is a membership. Okay, so you'll insert, and it will be a group membership. Okay, and then you will insert a new contact row for Harry Potter. Then you'll insert an address for Harry Potter, and then you'll insert a street address for Harry Potter and a telephone for Harry Potter. And then you'll repeat steps 2 through 5 for then Ginny Potter. Okay, and then repeat steps 2 through 5 for Lily Luna Potter. And so remember that she has a middle name, okay? Lily Luna Potter, okay. Okay, then another important point, in the addresses, when you're creating the addresses for the Potter family, make sure that you put everybody in Provo, Utah, okay? The addresses all need to be Provo, Utah. Okay, for all the Potter family. And he says this will be important in lab 7 and 8. Okay, so make sure. And then you do all of those inserts, and then you have your validation query here, and it should print out Harry, Ginny, and Lily Luna Potter, just like this. Okay, and then there's a 3D. Now, the rentals. Now you're going to create rentals for them and insert into the rental table. Important, okay? So you're going to do 3 rentals, and there will be 4 rental items. Okay, so the Harry Potter, Harry's going to rent 2 items, and then Ginny will rent 1 item, and Lily Luna will rent 1 item. Okay, and these rentals should be new releases, except one that Harry rents. You need to make that an old release. Okay. And it's recommended that you use sysdate. We talked about that, trunk sysdate, for, and he says for their release date, he means the rental date here. So make the rental date the trunk sysdate. Okay. Okay, here it is. 2 of the rows in the rental item table should link to the same row in the rental table for the rental for Harry Potter. Okay, so Harry Potter, he does a rental, he will have 2 rental items. Okay, so Harry Potter's, he's renting 2 rental items for a 1-day rental, and here it is, 1 new release and 1 old release. Okay, now you just put in 3 new releases. Those are your only 3 new releases. Okay, the rest of the items that are already in your database are old releases. So pick one of those. Okay, and have Harry. He's renting 1 old release and 1 new release. Okay. And then Ginny, she is renting 1 item, 1 new release item for a 3-day rental, and then Lily Luna is renting 1 new release item for a 5-day rental. Okay, so just follow those instructions carefully, and you'll use the next val and the cur val to get your primary keys and your foreign keys linked up there as you do those inserts. Okay, so you insert the rental row, then you insert the rental items. Okay, so that the cur val function will work, and then and you do all of that for Harry, and then you do that for Ginny, and then you do that for Lily Luna. Okay? And then here is your validation query. And when you run that in your log file, you will see Harry's rental. It's a 1-day rental, and he's renting 2 items. Ginny, a 3-day rental, and her rental has 1 item, and Lily Luna, and she's doing a 5-day rental, and her rental has 1 item. Okay? All right, so that's it for steps 1 through 3, and I'm going to stop this recording now, and then I'm going to do another recording for step 4 and go through those details for you. Okay?